My father and mother, I looked up to them so much because they were entrepreneurs in the 1954s, you know. My father worked in the sheet metal industry as a sheet metal worker, union, and quit his job, and Mom and him started this company, RIegler Blacktop and Landscape.
I've been here at RIegler Blacktop since the early 1980s. I started when it was in the basement of my in-laws' house. First of all, I started out with call forwarding. She would we lived right behind there. And Mary would just send her calls to me and free her up a little bit. And then I told her, I said my kids were getting older and I was going to get a part-time job. She goes, "Oh, no, you're not. If you're getting a part-time job, you're coming up here and you're going to work with me." And I did a few days a week, and then before you know it, it's turned into all these years that I've been working. So she taught me pretty much everything I know, and then some.
Dad in the asphalt business started probably in the late 50s, and believe it or not, manufactured his own paver. My dad really did an amazing job of, set us up on how to work. And we worked extremely hard all the time. He had his farms later on, so we would work in the blacktop business. We would then go out and bale hay in the afternoon, I wouldn't have changed it for anything. My brother Ron will tell you the same thing. It was very hard work, but a good lesson in life.
Dan was he was at college at first. We worked on the farms and stuff like that with Dad for years, but also we worked in the business, but it wasn't going to be our full time, I don't think. I think we both were going to go, maybe something different. But when Dad got sick, that's when we pretty well just said, well, this is going to be our career. For years and years, we lived in the same block. Marcia's husband and Bart was right behind Mom and Dad's house. I was across the street. Dan and the landmark. Dan was in a duplex next to it, right in one block together. So I guess we were always raised together, just stay together. So going to work, you just walked up to a hill through the grass and went to the office. And we had our trucks at that time parked in the yard. And we started off with 3 little trucks and a small hand paver later on. And then we end up, our first big paver we bought was 1980.
When we left Erlanger and we were on Lindale Drive, that was the new office site. And that was like, oh my gosh, we got so much room, we got computers eventually, everything, the fax machine, no more running to the post office constantly, and that was a great saving.
We went from the second generation of Ron and I building it up so high and everything working out good. The third generation has done a phenomenal job of being able, the high-tech stuff, the everything else. But the more important part was they knew to bring people in, and we have to replace, as people retire and everything else. Well, these young people, I had a lot of them. I don't see a lot of them all the time, but I'll be around and they'll come up and say, "Hey, how do you get ahead?" And I'll say, learn your job better than anybody. Keep your head down, work as hard as you can. And the third, do never worry about what this man's making or that man's making. Always think of that. And I said, you'll go right up the ladder.
Some of my earliest memories when I was 6, 7 years old, my dad would ask if I want to go to work with him. So we would go to work. Growing up, I couldn't wait to be able to start working in the summer during high school. And during high school, maybe 8th grade, freshman year, you start making money, saving a lot of money compared to your peers, working with your family every day and doing really cool things, working with heavy machinery and building things. I went to college to go to engineering. After a year life happens, and I get married and have a daughter, and so we came back working full time at the age of 19. And kind of when I got back there, we were starting to work on paving crews, and then kind of got into the office a little bit, estimating and project management, and through most of my 20s. And then as we built an asphalt plant and the operations grew, my Uncle Ron, he became sick for about a year or two. And at that point, so when I was about 29, 30 years old, I had to kind of take over scheduling the operations and still doing the estimating. So after a little while, I was named general manager and kind of ran through that for over a decade or so until my father stepped down permanently from president and he became the chairman. And so I became president, I think, in 2018.
I grew up down the street from them. They were my neighbors. And I started out doing yard work for Mary and tending the garden, doing things like that for them. And eventually they hired me on, and I did blacktop, shoveled my butt off for years. I can remember the first time they put me on a paver, I was so excited. It was like, oh, I'm on a big machine now, you know. My brother was the foreman for a while. He didn't like being foreman. He quit being foreman and he wanted back on the back of the paver, which was what I was doing. So they made me foreman. So I was foreman for probably maybe 10 years. Michael RIegler, who's the president of the company now, one time he was working with us when he was a kid, and one of the guys was holding the tailgate open on the blacktop truck, and Michael was walking by, and the shovel slipped out of the gate, and the guy hit Michael right in the head with his elbow, put him to the ground. And as he's laying there, I walked up, looked down at him. I looked over at the guy with the shovel. I said, good job. You made it look like an accident.
I got out of the military. I met my wife while I was in boot camp. She wasn't serving, but me and another guy from Florence, Kentucky, was the only two guys from Kentucky out of 250 guys in boot camp. We graduated and came up here with him to, of course, celebrate getting out of the military boot camp, and met my wife. And so it was 3 hours from where I live, so I was up here on the weekends, and, a year later, tried to find work up here, to move up here. Eastern Kentucky, it's not much work, so came up here, met Boone RIegler, and I think Mikey was still in high school, came out on the front porch at Boone's house and got the job. But until you have actually fine graded for an asphalt company, I don't care how good operator you are, it's like starting over again. So I'd hang on the side of the grader and watch Boone run the grader and watch how he would run the job. And to this day, he could probably outwork every man in the company. But, I watched what he did. I wanted to learn.
25 years ago, Michael RIegler, which I've known since kindergarten, offered me a job to come work for RIegler Blacktop. So, of course, I accepted it. A really good friend of mine, Joe Dusing, started with RIegler Blacktop 15, 20 years ago now. On his first day, I told him, hey, these guys here, they're really going to mess with you a lot. So and that means they like you. If they don't mess with you, they probably don't like you. So at the end of the first day, he came back to me and basically said, man, A-Bomb, that's my nickname. The people here must really freaking like me around here.
Well, when they bought the asphalt plant, I guess it was 2006, and they came to me about coming to run it for them. So I came over and started running the plant for them in 2006 when they put it up. I've worked for a lot of different companies. This is a great company, but it's the RIegler family that really sets it apart.
What brought me to RIegler Blacktop was a co-worker asked me to drive a dump truck for them for a week. And that week turned into 2 weeks, turned into 2 months, and expanded on to 14 years. The RIeglers have grown so much that our fleet side of it had to grow with them. And our technicians had to really educate themselves, a lot of training, and they had to grow with us also. And they have really done a tremendous job.
So one thing we're very proud of is that we are now bringing the trades to the next generation. So we are actively involved with Gateway College, with the Boone County Schools. We've started a program that is a junior and senior year program to get people interested in the trades, because we're trying to change the narrative. For the longest time, they're it was not something that people pursued and wanted to go into. But what our guys do on a daily basis is pretty amazing and pretty awesome. So, and with the more and more technology that's involved in our industry, the learning curve is getting a little bit easier to get in and be a part of it.
We've invested, I can't tell you how much money. I mean, it's been hundreds of thousands of dollars in, GPS controllers for, handhelds for rovers, for all of our site crews, for all the machine control. And I think that is the way moving forward to kind of make us more efficient and also attract a younger crowd.
So when I came here, I was pouring concrete every day. I was trying to get out of pouring concrete every day and go back to grading. And we thought that was the initial idea, but Mike and RJ, I think, had different ideas. And we ended up starting the concrete division when I came here. I think that it's very, very family oriented. From working with their fathers years ago, always had a good relationship with them, could always laugh and joke, cut up with each other. They will help you if you need help, discreetly if it needs to be discreetly, or whatever it takes to make sure that you and your family, if they need something, they'll find a way to help you out. The company itself, I believe, thinks about the employee, not just the product that they're trying to put out. And they try and uplift people. I think as across the board, we try to promote from within.
That's one thing about RIegler Blacktop. It is a driving force of people working in unity and working for the same goals. And it's not going to do any good for us if we're up here and everybody's down there. So we need to bring everybody up. And we've always had that attitude that everybody's a player, everybody has the ability to go as far as they want to.
They're great to the employees. They always have been, and they've always wanted to promote within for the most part, which gives a lot of guys opportunities, obviously, and they've always been looking to grow too, which can make obviously great opportunities as well for people such as myself.
The people in charge here, the people that own the company, the people that run the company, they are very good people. They will work with you. If you have problems, they will work with you. You're not just a number to them. You're part of the family.
I work with some of the best people in the world. If they're the kind of people you want to go out and have dinner with. I mean, all of our employees, my foreman, it's like brothers. It is literally like working with your family. I want to do something for them. I don't want to see, if I can take the work off of them, I want to do it because I don't want them to have to. You know what I mean? And they all feel the same for me. And it goes back with Boone. It's how he trained me. If I was to see Boone get out of the grader and pick up a shovel, I'd have to go straight to him and get it out of his hand. And to this day, he would do that to me. Boone was like, he's like a father to me. And I hope that I am passing that on to my guys. You know what I mean? To learn from the old guys. And this is a great place to do it, man. If you want to succeed, this is the place to be. I've been here so long and watched the boys raise up and take this place to a whole different level. And if you didn't get to experience the hard times, like going out and digging out patches with 90-pound jackhammers all day, taking turns with a jackhammer, and then this guy getting on the backhoe and rest for a minute while you're still going, hard times, hard work. And not that it's not that hard now, it's just like, I don't know, it's like when you build something, when you're part of something that's grown and you've watched every minute of it get from here to where it's at now, it is very, very impressive. Very impressive.
My father passed away in 2019, and I spent a lot of time off, being with him, because, my parents live out of town. I didn't have any time left. I was on salary, so I had so much vacation. I didn't have any, and there was never an issue. It was you go be with your dad, you don't worry about it. You be with your dad, you do what you got to do.
Well, Boone and I went to school together. Ron was younger, and even Bird, the little brother, they were more like brothers to me all these years and not brother-in-laws. So they're really a special part of my family. The RIegler family is a great family to be part of. You know that they all care about you and they love you and they're going to be there for you always.
We got guys been here since high school. I've been here 45, 50 years also. And my father was always really good with us as far as, like we were raised to back Well, he would give it to me and my brother and tell us go raise it, and then at the end of the year, we would split up. And back then, it was up, $3,000. But when you're 17 years old, 45 years ago, 50 years ago, that was a lot of money. You treat people the way you want to be treated. And, then if there was a problem with something, you work it out, and you sit down with somebody and talk to them about it. Again, I'm just, really proud of all the guys we got working for us. And honestly, we could not be any better, and they had better friends.